YouTube! Welcome to today's account review, which belongs to Cal. His account is actually pretty solid. If you look at it, you'll go, oh, nice. And that's what I did when I looked at it. And then I read the messages he sent me about the account, and I was like, oh no. So today, I'm going to show you his account, and hopefully we can all learn something. So today, we have a level 174 free-to-play account, which is nice. 859 million gold, solid. 48,000 gems, real nice. So this is a free-to-play player that's doing really well. Like, really well. So this is great to see that amount of resources. And if I show you his heroes, you'll go, oh, dang, right? Look at that. Eloise, Tree of Origin 3. This is like the perfect level to get an Eloise because this is where you reach that pinnacle point of not having diminishing returns. Now, he's kept on going. That's weird. Are you just trying to get into Tree of Origin level 4? Oh, you know what he's probably doing? He's probably hunting and hunting and hunting and hunting just to get to a point where he can get Tree of Origin 5 for the Glory Challenge. That might be the case. You also can go ahead and see that he doesn't have a lot of Stellar Shards because they're all inside Eloise. Like, dude, the Tree of Origin gets really expensive if you keep going. Typically, it's best to stop at level 60 and keep her at Tree of Origin 3 and just cut your losses. Unless, of course, does this need you to be level 80? No, it doesn't. It just says Tree of Origin 3, so that's fine. So, yeah, I'm confused by that. The reason I say I'm confused is because if you start putting your Stellar Shards into people like Carrie or Tix or Ithaca, who are your tenants, you actually get better stats in return than the massive investment you need to go ahead and progress the Tree of Origin further. So, like, Tree of Origin 3 is the point of diminishing returns where going in your tenants would actually be more powerful. So if we go ahead and look at some other stuff real quick, chat's already mentioned it, you've probably already seen it, and it's absolutely wild. You've got 2 9-star Drakes. Now, there's 2 reasons why an account should have 2 9-star Drakes. The first one is you're an idiot who didn't realize that having 2 heroes that target the lowest HP and defense down them is not a benefit. It's actually really bad because the timing on both of the abilities is the same. It's going to target the same hero, and once your defense downed, your defense down. You can't have double defense down. It doesn't work. It's kind of unusable having them both together. On the other hand, the smart man reason to have 2 9-stars is so that you actually just compress your dark food so it's better for bag space. But why did you go for Drake? Could have been Amun-Ra. Maybe you didn't have any Amun-Ra copies at the time. I don't know. But the other thing is, by improving the Drake, you've trapped 3 copies of Drake inside this Drake, which makes it harder for you to build an E5. So that's also kind of silly, right? Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 copies of Drake right here. So you actually could have an E5 Drake. So, unusual choice. Also, thank you for the cheer, by the way. Run him. If we look, another thing you'll notice he has is an Asmodel. That may hurt your brain, but I think... Did you go ahead and do CLN 20? Oh, you did. Okay, so my guy was like, well, I got no other light heroes, and I don't want to waste chests on them, so frick, I'm going with Asmodel. That's actually okay, right? If you can clear CLN with a hero, you might as well. And he did it with Asmodel and an Andrea. Pretty solid. That's the kind of clear I would be really, really excited to see on an account. And I'm glad you managed to do that. At this point now, though, you do not need this Asmodel anymore. He is a safe hero to regress if you've got the soul symbols. So that's good. You can go ahead and use 5 of those to get rid of him. Another thing to talk about here is the excellent decision he's done, which is to not improve the tree on Vesa. This is such a crucial mistake that people make, and it's because it locks away your Stellar Shards in multiple heroes and makes it hard for you to spread your Stellar around. Now, the fact that he's gone up in the Eloise, like we mentioned earlier, kind of mitigates that, but either way, by doing this, it means you can remove those Void 4 imprints away from the Vesa by using this if you were to, you know, if she wasn't in a home or anything. I don't even think she is. Like, I could literally spend 500 gems right now and do that, and then you could randomly just Void 4 ticks, because you might want that for something. I don't know. Maybe you're trying to push something like CLN Shadow for the funsies. So that could actually be something there. How high is your CLN Shadow? Is it going to be really high? It's 24. I think you could squeeze out a 25 clear here if you did that, actually. So there you go. It really depends on his star spawns and his home. So let's look at his star spawns real quick. Has he been smart? Yes, he has. This is excellent. We've got level 100 Spirit of Splendor. We've got level 100 Spirit of Transcendence. And if you're thinking about who next to upgrade, it might be worth going with the attack one if you've got the resources to back it up. You don't. You're only on 1,900. But he could be worth going with. Another one to consider is when you do have a lot of crowd control from someone like a Jara, Lord of Fear Aspen, when you start to have multiple Transcendence heroes, you could consider having Spirit of Wisdom in there as well. But I think the next big one for you is Spirit of Further, as that will improve your attack, or the HP one if you were lucky enough to pull that from an egg. Either way, though, this is really, really good to see that you got both of those to level 100. So congrats, dude. This is actually so far a very, very good account, except for those 2 drakes. So why has it been chosen? What's the mistake here? Well, he said to me that he's been building heroes, realizing they were bad, and then using chests to fix that problem. But I look at this and I see an account with loads of 5-star chests. So it seems that actually what Callie's done is just engage with the videos here on the channel, engage with the discussions here in the community, and just fix his account. He said that like it was a bad thing, but I want to use this as an opportunity to encourage you folks that it's not bad to fix your mistakes. It's actually amazing, because Callie did that, he's fixed his account, and you can see he's made some really, really cool decisions. One thing he did was he built a Delacium. He tested the Delacium in broken spaces, realized that it wasn't doing more damage than Vesa, so decided it wasn't good. Now, granted, there's a lot of things I could ask him about that. Like, for example, was the Fairy Queen Vesa Void 4, and was the Ithaca Void 4? Like, was it a fair test? Maybe not. Because the big thing is Ithaca should be doing similar, if not more damage, and the thing he probably didn't realize about Delacium at the time, unfortunately, you can see he's regressive, is that actually Delacium synergizes with ticks. And that synergy is huge, because Delacium's ability to repeat effects means he can echo the attack steal from ticks and the attack steal from Heartwatcher, meaning you can get to a point where the opponent does -1 damage to you, which is nothing. With the shields from Vesa, you will not die. It's even, in fact, pretty much legitimately 0. It's just you can't take 0 damage. So it says -1. So when you're getting hit by those damaging effects, you're not actually taking anything because the opponent has no attack left. And it means you can survive in really, really, really tough Broken Spaces levels. So the question is, how is his Broken Spaces going? Has he done Broken Spaces Stage 8? No. Has he done Broken Spaces Stage 9? No. So there is potentially a sad thing to reflect on here, that actually with that Delacium, you might have been able to do it. And it might have really been cool to see ticks plus Delacium actually having that synergy. So that's something to consider. Like, Delacium isn't a wasted hero. On the other hand, though, he's built the Delacium, used the Delacium, did CLN 20, cleared him off, which is a good thing to do. I encourage this, just building a hero and then getting rid of them, not wasting your time with a hero. So you could argue that the food has been better put to use for other heroes and to improve other stuff as he progresses through the game, and that's actually fine, right? You don't need to stick around with a hero just because. I will say, though, if you can't beat Broken Spaces to stage 9, it is something to try and do at this point in the game, so that would be really important for you to try and focus on, Callie, because you're going to get yourself a lot of gold and a lot of spirit by doing that, and that's a huge benefit to you as an individual, which means obviously with more gold and more spirit you can improve your heroes better. And if you've seen anything about X upgrades, you'll know that it's a real chore trying to improve the levels of your heroes. One thing I want to look at is your Void campaign. Good, you've unlocked this. That's all I wanted to check. If you've cleared normal campaign with your Eloise, that's fantastic. Tower of Oblivion, you've hit the Tower of Dream. That's really, really good. Where are you up to in the Void Vortex? Defire. Okay. Eloise trying to get through Defire is tricky, but I think it's worth a try. It is a struggle, but what I tend to do is if you're at a point with an account where you can go and try these things, don't spend gems on more attempts, but do just find a little team to send in, and Eloise should be able to clear this, no problem. It's more Vanquisher being cleared by Eloise that's now the true challenge, so I think you can get through Defire with an Eloise just fine, especially one that's Tree of Origin level 3. She's only got 1 million attack, though. That's surprising. That's quite low. So let's go take a look at your houses. Is that where our problem lies in the Cloud Island? Let's go see. So, yes. Build a Jara. That's a huge boost for you, I promise. Having a Jara in this account will be a great tenant for you. Like, you're missing out like 25% of your power. by not having a jar. Also, make sure you're getting all of the materials you can for Celestial Island. I know it's a slow grind. I know it's a really tough thing to do, but grinding through this is really, really important. So, yeah, the thing you want is a jar here. So there's a hero I can recommend for you to build to push you forwards. Now, another thing you wanted to ask about was artifacts. I'm hoping that his artifacts are really good, because this is more of like a good account showcase than anything else, and I like doing account reviews like this, so let's hope the rest of things are good. So we've got a splendid golden crown. It might be a little premature having that on here, but it still makes Eloise perform brilliantly, so I'm not going to complain. We've got ourselves, okay, splendid melodic strings, excellent artifact, gives Vesa that early active, puts out shields, massive for damage, really good for Star Expedition as well if you don't have Antler's Cane, so that's nice. Asmodel obviously has nothing. We've got a Radiant Demon Bell. Okay. And then a Plated Courageous, a Lucky Candy Bar, a normal Demon Bar. What the heck? Why don't you have energy on ticks? That's like way better. Unless, of course, this is to make him have higher attack so that he's a better tenant. That could also be an option. Also, Fatty Matterson. What a great name. Thank you for the Prime subscribe. Let's go take a look at some other stuff. Yeah, those heroes are empty. But okay. So your artifacts, you've got, what, 3 Demon Bells? So I see what you're doing. You're basically focusing on having as many Demon Bells on the account next as possible to have 8 Demon Bells, and then you'll have kind of like a mini energy feed. That's totally cool. You can also use Ignis for energy feed as well. That's really synergistic. A 10-star Ignis is active, of course, feeds energy when she dies. She also feeds energy, so that can work to having multiple active skills round 1 and round 2. Now, why is multiple active skills important? Well, if you didn't know, that's what Sword Flash needs to do well. So let's talk about next Transcendence heroes. Consider a Sword Flash, right? Really, really strong hero for coming in and dealing with pretty much the game modes you will be struggling with at the moment. Her burst damage is really, really strong. You'll want to make her your new main hero, and Eloise won't be your main hero anymore. But as well, it means swapping your Vesa into someone that's going to be more beneficial for Sword Flash, which would actually be your boy, the Lord of Fear Aspen, as he can offer CC, and also he is a tenant for her, so that's really, really good too. So you want to get yourself a Lord of Fear Aspen and a Sword Flash together if you can, but that involves you preparing for the Sword Flash, which means you're going to need that Drake, as we mentioned earlier. You're going to need to build him to E5. You're going to need to build an E5 Rogan. Good, you've already got one. And the other heroes that you want to consider will be the tenants for that Sword Flash. So that's going to be a Gloria. It's going to be probably an Onkiramaru. Could be a Nosuke as well, but Onkiramaru is a nice pick. If you want to get him in early, actually, and you really find that you're not using this Ithaca, you could swap Ithaca to Onkiramaru. And the other choice, of course, is Fiona, as Fiona will be a very strong hero. You've got 2 copies. She's pretty much the best in slot for tenants. It's between Fiona and Seer. As Seer's an assassin, she's not going to be good for Sword Flash. Therefore, you go with the Priest, which is the next best choice. So that's pretty good. Why did he level the Ignis? I think it was just something he did out of habit. Honestly, you shouldn't be leveling up 9-star heroes that are here just to die. So yeah, the Waldeck and the Ignis don't need to be level 200. I'm not going to shout at him for that, though, except for the fact that he has 77 million spirits, so maybe it is a problem. And actually, if your spirit really is the thing that's holding you back, again, I'm going to point you to Broken Spaces and just think about those things we said, right? Heroes that can, you know, mitigate the damage opponents do are really, really good. So actually, Delacium was a good call, and you should have kept him around. You shouldn't have gotten rid of him. Just a little bit more testing and a little bit more nuance would have really, really gone a long way here. So yeah, it's a shame about the Delacium and getting rid of him. He could have been really cool. But hey, you know what? It's not the end of the world, and I think you can still find teams that can beat that. You've got the melodic strings, you've got Vesa, and I think the only difficult thing is that a lot of your investment is into Eloise, not Vesa, so her damage is not massive, right? She's only got 467,000 attack. If we're clearing like Broken Spaces 8 and 9, you know, you're gonna want like millions of attack on Fairy Queen Vesa to do that in what I would consider a humorously easy way. Something that I think you should try and work towards, because Broken Spaces 8 and 9 should probably be some pretty primary goals for you to go ahead and beat, because if you can, it's more resources. It's the same reason why people like to try and push up and get stage 1 of Void campaign cleared, because you start getting lots of resources from here, including the Hero Advance XP, which is really valuable. But of course, it's useless if you have no Golden Spirit to take advantage of it. So yeah, hopefully this has been pretty interesting. Any other questions, Callie? Any other things you want to talk about whilst we're here? Really cool question here from Callie is, what does he use his gems on? Now, this depends on what you're currently using them on. You really should be getting Cores of Transcendence with this many gems, in my opinion. Right? I really like getting Cores. Now, That's for me as a card user, though, right? I buy monthly cards at a minimum on my account, so I have a good gem income. In your case, you might not have a massive gem income, and this may have taken ages to save up. So the other thing could be save, right? Wait until there's opportunities to spend them, because there's always going to be something that comes along. Like if you look at the New Year's event, which we had when I made this video, of course, because why else wouldn't it be here? I'm not quite sure when this is going to hit YouTube, so it probably isn't there anymore. But yeah, he can spend thousands to go ahead and pick up food. Should he do that, though? No, because he doesn't have the golden spirit to justify building more E5s anyway, so it's a really stupid thing to do. But he could do that. He's not going to, though. Right, another thing you could go ahead and spend it on is master toolboxes when they're available. You could wait for another big event like Valentine's Day or Easter to go ahead and spend on, as those events will give stuff. You know, we've got Chinese New Year coming up pretty much in a month's time. So that's going to be good too. So yeah, you got a lot of events that will be coming up to enjoy, and it's not going to change. Pretty much like the slow period in Idle Heroes where you want to save is probably the awkward time between like August, September, like October. Those 3 months are horrible. I mean, in general, they're a horrible 3 months because it's like back to school, nights are getting darker, depression sets in, your dog dies, your wife leaves you. You know, it all happens in August through to October. But of course, it's also a horrible time for Idle Heroes players because you kind of get that mid-autumn event, it's lovely, and then everything else is kind of poop until Halloween. It's like, so you just save, right? Events are really slow. And then sometimes they'll just decide to just not give us an event, and it sucks. So yeah, I think just save the gems for events that you can cash them in on. Like, events is the answer. What do I spend my gems on? Events or cause. Jess, a friend of mine who's a free-to-play player, her account's brilliant. She has a very similar account to yours, and what she likes to spend cores on, or at least when she wants to buy cores, is actually from the adventure. Whenever the little shop guy comes up and you're getting a core for 1,250, that's when she buys them. Because they're slightly cheaper, and it means she's not always buying cores that she runs out of gems, but she's getting enough cores that she can get Transcendence Heroes, and she can kind of feel like she's making some progress, but she's not then entering events with no gems. So it's kind of like a really, really good middle ground, as opposed to just buying cores from the marketplace every day, especially if you're a free-to-play player. So that's something that's worked for her, and she's always got gems. So as someone who isn't a free-to-play player, it's hard for me to give advice without just looking at what I know other people are doing. And I know that that's what other people do. Like Tevis has just said that's what he does as a free-to-play player as well. So yeah, I think always go for the best value. Why buy for 1,500 when there's a dude that sells you them for 1,250? So yeah, that's actually a fun little discussion. Some people also go for the Stellar Shards as well when they're offered. If that's valuable to you, then totally do it. If you can afford that, it's totally worth it. Like, it's only 1,250 gems, maybe like every other day. So it's a lot cheaper than spending like 1,500 every day. And also, you then have that feeling, if you're buying these for 1,500, why aren't you buying the other ones for 1,250? And then why aren't you getting the Stellar Shards as well? And before you know it, you've just totally, like, you've ran out of gems, and you're like, balls, I can't do any of these events, right? Just look at the VIP series. How many times do I run out of gems on the VIP series? Granted, I'm a madman when it comes to gems because I'm always switching and changing stuff for content, but that's fine, I guess. But yeah, that was actually quite a fun little discussion. So hopefully you guys like Calais' account. I really do. I think he's making great efforts. There's a few tiny little things we'd change. Your artifacts are coming on steady. The other artifact for you to go ahead and spend on, if you were to spend on another artifact and pick one up, I would actually say is Rui Scepter. Like I said, with moving and transitioning the account towards a Sword Flash and a Lord of Fear Aspen at some point, Aspen will want a Rui Scepter. So if you can get yourself a Rui Scepter to improve his CC chances, that is going to be fantastic. And for him, you'll want probably at the very least 2 Rui Scepters, so you can have a glittery one. But ideally, you want it to be Radiant or even Splendid. I like Splendid artifacts because they give you bonuses in Celestial Island, and they unlock you further rewards, like in the Glory Challenge if you haven't already got that. I mean, you probably will do if you get those Demon Bells. But yeah, just keep that in the back of your mind that you will probably want a respectable number of Rui Scepters to justify having the Lord of Fear Aspen plus a Sword Flash. Now, I say that if you went in with that in mind, there is a good chance that there may be strategies that emerge where actually Vulcan is a really good second Transcendence hero. So keep your ears peeled or your eyes peeled, whatever the phrase is. Keep your ears to the ground, right? Keep listening, because that might change. It might not be that you need those receptors. It may very well be the case that in the future, strategies emerge where a Vulcan is a good early Transcendence hero. So just think about it. Is it actually a good idea to still build Lord of Fear Aspen with the Sword Flash, even if that becomes the case? Well, yeah, because it's still a reliable team that beats game modes. Remember that, right? But knowing that there are other strategies out there is also really helpful, because it means you can make decisions that are fun for you whilst also making good progress. So that's important. So I'll try to let you guys know if anything changes. But for now, I am still recommending Sword Flash and Lord of Fear Aspen if you get to that point on your account where you can transition into that. So yeah, Callie, this was fun. I enjoy making account reviews like this, where typically it's actually just a really solid account and you've done a few small things. And I think those nitty-gritty fine details are hopefully useful for you guys at home. If you've got any questions or if you enjoyed this, let me know in the comment section, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, join us live at Twitch, and of course, have a good week. Happy idling.